What is the most extreme misuse of an everyday item you have ever witnessed? My mom's co-worker, or maybe even her ex-boss, used the plastic page protectors for office binders in a wrong way. The page protectors have only one opening on top, as everyone knows, but she would always turn them upside down and then used a billion of paper clips on the bottom to prevent papers from falling out. OFFS. I caught a friend of mine rubbing one of the antibacterial hand wipes from KFC all over his friend's chicken. The little packet said a hint of lemon on it, and he thought that he was meant to flavor the chicken with it. Using a microwave to dry clothes. There were flames. You're supposed to make sure there aren't any forks in your pockets, amateurs. My wife once watched a girl at work stick a ball of aluminum into a microwave with her instant ramen during a break. She said, "The sparks are just because it's heating up faster," as if it were common knowledge. My friend's kid decided to make a grilled cheese sandwich with an iron on the couch, burned a nice iron-shaped hole in the couch. Kid was 15 at the time. In college and living in the dorms, my roommate and I had an iron specifically for grilled cheese. No burnt couches though. Several years ago I worked for Natural Nail Salon as a receptionist. One of my duties was to sweep the floors regularly so clients don't step on nail clippings on their way in out. There was a new hire, and my manager was never really around to train her. The other receptionists and I trained her. One day, I asked her to sweep the floors. I showed her where the broom and dustpan was. She was in her early 20s and living on her own. I assumed I didn't have to teach her how to use a broom. She took the broom and fanned the nail clippings into the dustpan. She didn't drag the broom across the floor to sweep it. The broom never touched the floor. I tried to show her how to sweep properly. She never took my advice, and I kind of gave up. She left after 6 months. She still couldn't sweep, but she could finally calculate tips at least. This was a story that a colleague told me that happened on the day I was off back in the day I used to work for a hotel. Apparently some Chinese guests came to reception to complain that the microwave wasn't working. We didn't have microwaves in the room, so when coming to inspect the problem, she found out that they were trying to microwave a pizza in the room's safe. Roommates in college used laundry pods in the dishwasher for like a week. I hand washed my dishes, so it did not affect me. They only noticed because I asked why they always left their laundry pods on the kitchen counter. Snorting nutmeg to get high. A little gets you pie, a little more gets you high, and a little more gets you cardiac arrest. My high school Spanish teacher would use her computer's disk tray as a shelf for her coffee mug. If a computer was anything like the ancient things my school makes me do lesson plans on, she was probably just praying every day that the coffee would accidentally spill. Using my fabric shears to cut wire and plastic packaging, and now he's butthurt that my new fabric shears have a padlock through the handles. It is my firm belief that every household should have 3 pairs of scissors, one for fabric, one for paper, and one for every freaking thing else, aka the kitchen scissors. Mine are stored in vastly different places, so you'd have to deliberately look for and choose to use them for their unintended purpose. But the padlock is a genius idea and I love it. My adult Bill once used steel wool to scrub his parents' oak dining table. That still floors me after like a decade. I used to live 2 doors down from the neighborhood's crazy lady and she would often vacuum her grass after it was mowed. What do you expect when buttholes keep walking through her yard without taking their shoes off first? Walked into my sister's room and she had maxi pads laying everywhere with Barbies on top. She's like, "Look at all these Barbie sleeping bags I found." One time I found a tampon in my older sister's room and me and my younger brother went and showed our mom that she was off having fun without us because she had a party popper in her drawer. My mom giggled and threw it away without a word. Using a microwave to dry a smartphone, after running said smartphone under tap water to clean it. This was like 7 years ago. I don't think the phone was waterproof. Person who did this was good academically but had no common sense whatsoever. It baffled me. We had a housemate who used to get home very drunk and try and cook himself elaborate meals, which always resulted in a lot of mess and noise. To combat this, I turned the oven and electrical sockets in the kitchen off when he went out one night. Foolproof. The fool cooked himself steak in the living room with our clothes on at 3 AM. You made the mistake of not counting on him being a better fool than you were a foolproofer. I used to work at a golf course doing lawn maintenance. We had a fella on our crew that was older and well, not the brightest. He was kind of a loner, so we just let him be most of the time. One day, I saw our guy mowing some large berms with one of our push mowers. To save time, I guess, he left the mower running, then picked it up to put in the back of the truck. He still had all his fingers, but the truck tailgate took a good hit. I'm working in the operating theater. We removed a very large eggplant from a very normal sized butthole. From a very normal sized butthole, not anymore. I did not witness it, but my grandma had used a vibe as a massaging stick for her back pain because the box had stated massage stick. The way we found out was hilarious though. When we visited her one day, she started telling how she went to the shop where she bought her massage stick and asked the boy to change the batteries. She did not understand why the boy had refused and why he acted weird. Then she asked my mom if she could change the batteries and gave my mom the vibe. I still feel sorry for the kid behind the counter at the shop. Haha, my grandmother, many years ago, gave me a massage stick for Christmas. She didn't know what it was. My mother took it away from me. My wife routinely uses butter knives as flat screwdrivers. I once caught her using an ice cream scoop as a hammer. We've talked about it. I bought her tools. Now she keeps an old crappy butter knife in the back of the drawer for fast easy battery changes and uses a hammer as a hammer. My mom has one of these all-purpose butter knives too. I think it's kind of endearing. She used to keep it in with the regular silverware, but at some point after we last moved I noticed it's been relegated to the junk drawer where she keeps her hammer and other odds and ends. My mom used the handle end of a spoon today instead of a knife to spread some mayonnaise. The spoon was clean and not used for any spoon-like activities either. There were other knives to use. Saw a woman using an Oyster card. It's a London bus pass the same size and material as a credit card, as a sort of spoon to eat a lasagna out of a Tupperware on the bus. Surely, huffing solvents for a high. Honestly, so much more dangerous than even M&H. Huffing solvents is just as dangerous as Dare told you drugs are, and probably more so. An old roommate put a strainer inside of a pot of boiling water and flipped both. Boiling went all over the place, but she said that's the right way to do it. I seen on Instagram. This is one of those hacks or things you didn't know you were doing wrong that is making rounds on the internet right now. It's so dumb. It only works in very specific circumstances where you have a certain type of strainer and a certain size of pot. Otherwise it just makes a huge mess and you risk burning the crap out of yourself. I once witnessed a dude washing out condoms and hanging them to dry. I was doing an internship in a small office and the engineer, he is engineer, needed to take out the trash from the trash bin. It had a plastic bag with the trash. He opened a new plastic bag, although it was to replace the old full one, and asked my help to hold it while he threw all the trash from the bin to the new plastic bag instead of just take the trash from the old plastic bag and replace for the new one. I was so confused. Sorta general, but the whole using hot peppers, cinnamon, glue to embiggen lips thing. There's a TikTok going about with a girl using lash glue to glue her upper lip to her skin to make it hotter, plumper, and I think it's not long until super glue is used for the same purpose. But I mean, it's not like emergency rooms have anything better to do so. Cop here. I've seen several people using the portable air pumps that come with air mattresses to blow into their DWI ignition interlock to start their cars and keep them running. About 9 years ago, a co-worker hammered a paint tin lid back on with the handle of my torque wrench. Still mad at that guy. My roommate once poured hummus into a pot of marinara sauce. He's also mixed together a bunch of different types of barbecue sauce and left them out for days. Then he ate it and tried to get the rest of us to eat it. That's how making food was figured out in the first place. Trial and error. Your friend just is a bit uncultured, even Neolithic. My dad's old boss asked a dishwasher at work to wash his car. 1 hour later the boss goes to look at his brand new BMW and the guy had used a pot scourer, that metal thing used to clean stuff. Needless to say, my dad's boss screamed and that guy ran so far he was never seen again. Someone playing a shooter game to use their Xbox One controller for a massage. Yes, massage. Not extreme, but two of our graphic design juniors using caps lock for a single capital letter. I had never seen anyone do this and they both joined within a space of a month. Will never understand how or why they can work like that. A friend of mine was a first generation migrant to my country and her parents had a dishwasher in their house, but due to never having had one in their home country, saw it as a wasteful appliance to use. So they stored clean pots and pans in it, just like another cabinet. This is extremely common in, especially Asian, immigrant communities. Even if they know how to use the dishwasher, our parents consider it wasteful when you can just wash by hand. Not really an everyday thing unless you're a tradesman, but I've seen way too many people try to pound screws in with a hammer. When all you've got is a hammer, everything is a nail. The vacuum in my apartment, which my roommate's drunk boyfriend seems to think needs to be running at 2:01 AM. It gets him off. Some people use those for tobacco use only items for something that isn't tobacco. The nerve. I haven't personally witnessed it, but I've seen a few too many X-ray images of people with light bulbs up their butts. Well, the sun doesn't shine there, so it stands to reason to light it up. We weren't allowed hot plates or microwaves in the college dorms, so one of the girls on my floor cooked bacon with a hair straightener. We had microwaves, but no stove in our dorms. One of my floor mates ended up putting ramen and seasoning in a Gatorade bottle and then microwaving that. I use the little toilets in family restrooms because they work just like a squatty potty. I always pray that the lock doesn't malfunction, cause I am not sure how I will explain what's happening. When was the last time you put gloves inside the gloves box of your car? I keep my maps in there. I keep my gloves in the map pocket, obviously. Girlfriend's brother using my $125 chef's knife to chop ice. I did make a scene. Got rid of both. Barbarians. My brother once used a brick chisel to cut brownies. My parents were doing the kitchen and left it out on top of a paint bucket or something. I guess he thought it was a spatula. I mean, assuming it was clean, I think it'd work pretty well. He MacGyvered it. In my junior year of high school, 0304, I spent 9 months living with my dad. I've always had an interest in tech and am a computer guy, so when I moved there I brought a computer. My dad and his family are the very opposite. None of them ever touched a computer to any degree worth mentioning. Entire house was 100% computer illiterate. When I first set it up, my dad wanted me to teach him how to use it, and I was baffled by the level of illiteracy he actually had. It was like I went back in time with a computer and gave it to a caveman. I had to teach him literally everything about a PC and how to use it starting from the very ground up. Early on I introduced him to the mouse cursor and the mouse. I had to explain to him how the mouse works, flipped it over, showed him the trackball. It was a very old PC, moved it with my finger and explained when you move the mouse, the ball rolls across the desk and causes the mouse cursor to move. After a few moments of showing him mouse movement, I instructed him to move the mouse cursor over to an icon. He proceeded to pick the mouse up, flip it upside down, and started rolling the ball with his thumb trying to make the mouse move to an icon. After I corrected his mouse use, we moved on to clicking mouse, then explained how it's typically a take action on whatever your mouse cursor is on function, and asked him to single click an icon in order to highlight it. He quite literally was unable to do this. Every time he would click the mouse for some reason he would also jerk his hand, causing the mouse to shift some direction and off the icon. He was completely incapable of clicking a specific spot on the screen and could not seem to learn it. After about 10 minutes of us going through clicking things, he got frustrated and said that's enough and walked away. He never managed to click the icon. When I was a kid, my mother used a pasta spoon to clean the cat litter box. I thought this was normal because it was the only way I'd ever seen it used. Then, years after our cat died, I was eating dinner at a friend's house when the mom grabbed the same kind of utensil to serve spaghetti. I freaked the frick out and shouted, "Why are you serving food with a poop scoop?" They were so confused and I couldn't eat my dinner because I was so disturbed. I saw a video once where a woman was using a drill. Nothing weird, right? Well, instead of, drilling, she took a hammer and put the drill in the wall and started hitting the back of the drill with the hammer. You have been visited by the romantic doggo. Comment love is magic so you never fall in the friend zone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.